Hi guys, I'm back again today with an interesting video. Germans take their kids to breweries. Shocking kid-friendly space. Well, I mean, two birds, one stone, right? I if it's a country that loves their beers, they would come up with a way to indulge in both, right? So I'm really intrigued and fascinated by this. I never knew this existed actually until I read the title and I'm like, I do not put anything past Europeans anymore. Like I am done. Like tomorrow you're gonna tell me that you've been teleporting for like centuries and I'm just finding it out. You guys have been like having flying cars for like 20 years and we didn't know this. You guys like when somebody passes away, um how'd you call it, like they don't necessarily pass away because there is this like modern technology reincarnation shenanigan. I have no idea. Like there's so many things that clearly we don't have on this side of the world, and when I find out, it seems like I'm ancient, and I'm just like, what the famalama is happening? So, like, anything that we react to nowadays, I'm just gonna be like, yeah, I bet it was a thing. Like, I'm already like assuming there's so much going on that I don't know. So, this, I'm just kind of like, just let me see it because I knew something like this would exist. But I never thought about it, it never came to my mind. I didn't sit there and be like, you know what? Do you think breweries have like friendly kid spaces? Do you think they can bring their children to the bar? Like, I never came to my mind. I never sat there and thought about it. But now that I'm here at this moment, I'm like, yeah, where else in the world would you see this? Germany, of course. Of course, I should have known. But, anyways, what am I saying? So, before we start, don't forget to subscribe and let's get it.
Let's be honest, if you have kids, especially young kids, things that used to take little to no planning now take a heck of a lot of forethought. Do I have the diaper bag packed? Can I make it there and back without a spare bottle of formula with hot water? Will my 3-year-old require snacks? What's the bathroom situation like? Yeah, so it isn't so surprising that for a lot of parents, they tend
That's
to
like
look
a
at life
child.
as before kids versus after kids. And I don't mean that in a bad way, but a lot of the spaces that we have curated as a society were done so with adults in mind, which makes bringing little ones along pretty challenging. But perhaps one of the most surprising differences that I found after moving to Germany after living in the United States is just how kid-centric so many everyday spaces can be. In fact, it doesn't have to be kid-specific places to find that life is just a lot easier here with little ones around. So in today's video, I'm going to be taking you along to 10 of my top spaces that I think have made one of the biggest differences as being a parent here in Germany on leading a lifestyle that, quite frankly, isn't so different than from what I used to have.
Well, they also have
before
their
my
own
children
beer,
arrived.
but it's like
These
obviously
spaces that actually
not
consider
beer.
kids as part of the community and as part of the intended users from the very beginning. So, let's take a look.
That's actually very smart, actually, now that I think about it. Incorporate children in the,
Okay, now if you want to strike fear into the hearts of nearly any new parent, you just need to utter 2 words: rest stop. Now, I think I'm pretty lucky. Both of my kids enjoy car rides, but any lengthy trip with a little one in diapers and a second one fresh off potty training means that I'm probably going to have to take them inside of
what is happening?
one in diapers and a second one fresh off potty training means that I'm probably going to have to take them inside of a rest stop for a bathroom break. Now, I'll be honest with you. In the United States, not all rest stops are created equal. And there really is a continuum of good to bad, and a lot of it is based off of just how good the bathrooms are. Now, for example, this is a very nice bathroom that I would happily take my kids into. And if I'm lucky, there might be one just like it every 50 miles or so along the interstate in the United States. But in an emergency blowout situation, I might be only left with a bathroom that looks like this. In which case, I would
Oh.
probably rather just let my child pee into a ditch on the side of the highway than risk the need for a top up tetanus shot. If I'm going to be honest with you, 99% of the time, even in the bathrooms in those rest stops that are really nice, you're lucky if you just have a clean baby diaper changing station that's mounted to the wall. That's pretty much the extent of child friendly bathrooms. And yeah, I
So they
might
don't
be
care
a
about
little bit
kids?
peeved that most of the time those are only in the women's restrooms and not in the men's, when they probably have the space to do it. And 9 times out of 10, my husband would gladly take our kid to go get a new diaper. But any parent of little ones know that bathrooms pose a risk because our kids just kind of like to touch just about everything. So that's what really made all of the difference when I came to Germany and found that bathrooms can actually look like this. Not only do they have a separate room, often completely just for baby changing, but they also sometimes come with heat lamps to keep the baby warm while you change their diaper, a separate sink to wash your hands or prepare a bottle. Sometimes there's a chair if you're breastfeeding. And honestly, it's a really small detail, but the fact that there's a door that locks means that I can change my baby's diaper while my toddler is running around without risk of them leaving the bathroom altogether. Now, although I couldn't find this specific example when I was driving around for this video, I have been to a rest stop in Germany before that also had a toddler toilet in the baby changing room with a small sink that was just for them, which makes these rest stops so much easier. And again, the fact that I don't have to worry about what is my 3-year-old touching and trying to help hold him over an adult sized toilet. These spaces are just so much more thoughtful and again makes life just so much easier. Now, next up on my list is a place that is quite frankly one of my
I don't know why I
absolute
can't get
favorite
comfortable
places
today.
in all of Germany, and that's DM. This place is sort of kind of like Walgreens, but without the pharmacy. But what makes it so fantastic is that the place is designed for shopping with kids.
Mm.
And what's really cool is not only do they have little tiny grocery carts that the kids get to push around, but while the parents are shopping, there's actually a small play area for kids. If you're a breastfeeding mom, there's actually a breastfeeding corner where they give you privacy and a comfy chair. And perhaps the pinnacle of the entire place is this baby changing station in the store, which comes stocked with diapers of all sizes
Oh.
and wet wipes completely for free. Yeah, that's right. For free. Now, granted, this is a little bit of a marketing ploy because, of course, they stock the baby changing station with their diapers, which they're hoping you enjoy and inevitably end up purchasing. But I can't stress enough on just how wonderful it is to have these kind of spaces where I'm not
Oh yeah, my aunt was saying, because she lives in Sweden, she was saying that yeah, she really loves it there. And like they really take care of children. Like when you go to the dentist, it's free for kids until I forget how many year old. Like the way that they take care of like the elders and then the young people, so good. So like in the middle, right, you as a person who is like young adult and adult, we are working paying high taxes so that our children will have like good education and good like medical, you know, stuff and free medical shenanigans, right? And then when we get older, we're also paying for like, you know, our hospital bills, our, you know, when we're over, pay for all that stuff. So it works in a like a cycle, and I'm like, that's so smart. And then those kids, they're investing in their education, they're investing in their health and all that, so that they will be the future, you know, workers of the country also, who will then again work for the next generation, and then also when they get old, and it just goes round and round, and it's just so beautiful. Why can't we implement that? So for them to have like those free diapers and all that, it's part of everyone's like taxes and everything, and it's just so beautiful how there is a system that works. And why doesn't it get implemented in other parts of the world? We do not understand, right?
stressed about whether or not I'm going to find a clean bathroom again, but that I can actually just go into any DM store near me and change my baby's diaper if need be. And it's because of these spaces and because they're so wonderful to take kids that I really enjoy shopping with my little ones. Even my very rambunctious 3-year-old who loves to get into just about everything. But in these spaces, my kids feel welcome and I feel so much more relaxed, which again, I can't stress enough, really does make so much of a difference. Now, the next one on my list is technically a kid-friendly space, but it's the proliferation of playgrounds specifically that I have found to just be so incredible here in Germany. I mean, take a look here at this map of Freiburg. Just look at the number of local playgrounds around that there are for kids. And these playgrounds can actually be quite a bit different than the ones in the United States because not only do they often have different play areas for kids of all different ages, but they also tend to foster a sense of independence and self-reliance by actually allowing kids to do things that might be considered, well, a little bit dangerous.
I saw Americans, I think, reacting to playgrounds in Europe, maybe Germany in specific, I'm not sure. And they were like laughing because like they said there's no color at all. Looks so like manual labor or something of that nature. Maybe because they didn't really necessarily watch an explanation video. They rather just looked at pictures, which in comparison, obviously, you have this colorful metal stuff in US and also here in the Philippines. But when I watched, like, even the first time we reacted to German Playground, I believe, I was like, yeah, what the famalama is this? But then when the lady was explaining, I was like, it makes so much sense, right? They learn so much more than just going up and down on a seesaw and sliding down this colorful, like, steel. Like, what are you gonna learn from that, right? You're just gonna, like, get burnt from those playgrounds with like, the friction, right? Like, you don't learn anything, you just get hurt, basically. So the fact that um they were laughing at this type of playground, I wish they do. Maybe the comments will tell them anyways. The comments will tell them that, hey, actually you should watch a video of a reaction explanation to how it works, and probably they will understand. Just wanted to say that.
Reliance by actually allowing kids to do things that might be considered, well, a little bit dangerous in the United States. Some of them feature rock climbing walls, other have ropes that are suspended about a couple meters off the ground. But it's these kind of spaces, and just quite frankly, the sheer number of them, that really make taking your kids out and about for a fun time part of your everyday life because you don't really have to travel very far to find one. And just like I was speaking about earlier at rest stops, playgrounds can also be found at the majority of rest stops in Germany as well, which is, again, fantastic when you're on those dreaded road trips with your little ones because after a couple hours, they probably need to get out and stretch their legs. And the majority of rest stops in the United States are, quite frankly, for cars, so you probably don't feel very comfortable letting your little one just go run around. But in Germany, actually providing these play areas for kids is so wonderful because they get to get their wiggles out before we continue on onto our journey. So the next item on my list is bike paths, and this is something that I've actually made quite a few videos about on my channel before, but it's worth mentioning again because the sheer proliferation of these bike paths and the bike infrastructure in Germany has been just so wonderful in comparison to what I experienced in the United States. Now, don't get me wrong, there are actually some really nice bike paths in the United States, but a lot of them, again, are destination bike paths. And the ones that you see within the cities are usually just bike paths that are part of the streets. One that, quite frankly, I probably wouldn't feel very safe towing my kids in a bike trailer or letting my 3-year-old, who's currently learning how to ride his bicycle, ride along with me. But here in Germany, a lot of these bike paths are actually separated from the streets altogether, which means, again, that I not only feel safer as a mom towing my kids along, but that, again, as my kids grow up, they can actually go from point A to point B independently and safely on these bike paths. Now, the next item on my list is one that actually might not seem so obvious at first, and that's farmers markets. Now, this is just generally a community space, which means that the very young and the very old all
love
get to participate here in their
it.
shopping
Oh.
experience. But if Jack was with me today, I think he would probably tell you that this is his favorite item on the list. And that's because, I kid you not, every time we head to the farmer's market, that kid gets an entire free meal. We stop at the produce booth, and Jack always leaves with either a free apple or a free banana. Then we head on over to the butcher, at which point he always gets a free sausage or a schreibeliona to snack on his way. And then at the end of our journey, we head over to the bakery cart where the vendor so kindly always gives him a little mini pretzel for the road, which again is so cute. But it's so wonderful though too, because as I go along these shopping trips, I find that it actually makes shopping a lot easier. If my kids get
Yeah,
snacks
they're
along the way,
busy.
they're content and happy. They're also a little bit occupied. But it also, again, just makes me feel as a parent so welcome in these
And
spaces
he's
that,
riding his own bike. Oh.
shopping with kids, especially in this like group setting, one that's really open, is sometimes difficult with little ones around because you kind of got to keep them with you and contained. But in these cases, my kids actually shop along with me and they get to participate in that, which is so cool. Next up on my list is grocery stores. Now, grocery stores can be a bit tricky with little ones. I'll even admit that. But one of the things that I like so much about my grocery store experience in Germany has been that, again, my kids actually get to participate in the shopping experience. And when they're an active participant, not just a bystander or a kid that's being asked just to sit in the cart and wait, they have a lot more patience, which is really important, but they also learn the skill of helping to pick out what we're eating and help to plan our meals together. And I find that my kids are actually a lot better behaved when they have an activity to do. So at our grocery store, they actually not only have little mini grocery carts for the kids to go shopping around, but they actually make the different shopping areas a lot more interactive for kids. For example, this spot in our grocery store has a live webcam of the free-range chickens where the eggs come from. And that's a spot that, again, Jack always makes us stop and see how the chickens are doing that day, which is really cute. Now, I will admit, this next place on my list doesn't technically fit my initial requirement of being an everyday space, but I wanted to mention it because it is just so cool. Recently here in Germany, we went through Carnival or Fastnet or Fasching, depending on where you live. It, of course, comes with different
That's some
names.
interesting
But
masks.
these festivals specifically are so wonderful for children because, at least in our area, they actually have an entire day of this festival with specific activities that are kids-centric. For example, during Fastnet, they not only got free pretzels and free Wurst, but they had whole displays for the children to actually participate in the different traditions, to learn about those traditions. And it was just such a really fun community event that happened to be kid-centric. But it was also nice because, Carnival or Fastnet or Fasching is part of the whole community. So the kids really do feel like they're a part of the celebration and not just an afterthought. And at least for me, as a foreigner living in Germany, being able to take my kid to things like this have made all of the difference in just making us feel so much more well integrated. But also, again, like there isn't these parts of life in Germany that are only for adults or only for kids, but that they really make an integrated effort for all of us to have fun in our own way, which is really nice. So next up on the list, I wanted to talk a little bit about public transit in Germany. Now, granted, if you live in a city in the United States that has public transit, you're probably going to find some pretty nice family-centric things too. For example, you might have a nice place to wheel a stroller onto your streetcar or onto the subway station. But in Germany, I really do feel like they take this one step further. For example, on the train network here in Germany, not only do they have whole train cars that are devoted to families where kids can run up and down the aisles and talk and chat, and you don't really feel like you're disturbing other people. But if you want, they even have family cabins that you can reserve that have.
I don't know what's wrong with my internet today because I think I have to restart the router after.
Closing doors and special decorations that are specifically for children, which makes the entire experience so much more fun. And especially as a parent who might be traveling on public transit, Being able to feel like you're not a bother to other people, but also make your kids feel like they can have some fun, especially on those long distance trips, is really just so refreshing and something that, again, I found to be one of the most surprising culture shocks after moving here to Germany. Okay, now, last but not least, you're probably wondering where I am even filming this video today. And that's right here at the Rothaus Brewery in the Hochschwarzwald in Germany, one of my absolute favorite places to come with kids. That's right, you heard me. Going to a brewery is one of my favorite places to take my little ones. One of the biggest culture differences between life in the United States and life in Europe is a much more relaxed and community feel around wineries and breweries. In the United States, these are very much adult-only spaces. And the vast majority of wineries aren't also going to have spaces dedicated for kids, but that cannot be further from the truth than here in Germany. Not only does the Rothaus Brewery actually have one of the most epic playgrounds I've ever seen, but their beer garden space is so much more of a community space for the very littlest ones and the oldest ones
Oh,
to
they're even
enjoy. People are not
great.
afraid to bring their kids here. In fact, they're encouraged to do so. And being able to feel welcomed as a parent
The
to
problem
bring
is who's
your
gonna
kids to a
drive,
brewery
or maybe
doesn't
they
simply
just
just mean that
bike
I'm able
home.
to actually
But
find moments
still,
to relax a little bit more as a parent. Again, drinking responsibly. But I think there's also just this sort of idea that these spaces don't have to be separated. There's, I guess, almost an opportunity for me to help teach my kids that drinking isn't something that is done in excess, but that you can enjoy a beer responsibly or alcohol free. Heck, there's an entire menu of non alcoholic beverages. But it also
count
means
me
that these
in then.
community spaces can be enjoyed by everyone. I don't know, I just find that like this space specifically, which is why I wanted to come here and film this video, is just one of the standout places that is so dramatically different from the United States because, again, I just feel like this is one of those spaces that you can bring your kids and it makes just a world of a difference in living a life that isn't before kids or after kids, but just life that's great regardless. But yeah, those are my top 10 places that, at least for me, are kid friendly without being kid centric and that have been
Oh my gosh, like what is happening?
perhaps the most surprising thing for me as a parent living here in Germany. But I realize that's not an exhaustive list. So if you have places that you think deserve to be on this list, please let me know down in the comment section below. And as always, guys, if you enjoyed what you saw today, be sure to hit that thumbs up button. And for more content from Type Ashton, hit that subscribe button. So I'll see you next Sunday. Cheers!
Oh, that is, yeah, like I don't necessarily think about these things, but now that I see them, I'm like, makes so much sense. It's gonna be really helpful to the child as well as the parents. Here, kid-friendly places are usually the kids park in general, and probably the mall because there's like a child's play place, and obviously you have to spend some money to let them play around. And you cannot play with them, you just have to watch them from the outside, which is kind of weird. And then another place will be some fast food restaurants like Jollibee or McDonald's. That's it. Yeah. And then sometimes you can, in the rest stops, you might find. I don't think so. I don't think you will ever find a kids' play place. No, no. When it comes to the changing table, yeah, I've seen them here and there, especially at the malls. They'll be there. Rest stops, yes, they're there as well. Um, I think when it comes to the changing table, we do have those available in a lot of places, but I think clean, right? I think they're really clean, especially the ones at the malls, obviously, but the ones at the rest stop, not necessarily sure. I've been to opened one and checked, but I hope so. Um, yeah. will you see a brewery that has children's child friendly? No. I don't even think it's friendly in general. So yeah. What else? Sorry about my internet. I don't know what's wrong. Let me just go refresh it. Thank you guys, and I'll see you tomorrow. Bye.